Okay, we're going to take your ball, we're going to pop that underneath of your foot, and we're going to create some movement at the ankles. So just bending only at the ankle and not at the knee. We're trying to reach your big toe to the floor and then the little toe to the floor. Hello, Leanne. Hello, Gabby. How are you? So just moving as much as possible, only from the ankle and not cheating from the knee. Really good for balance, this. And if you're walking or on uneven terrain. So swapping feet, we'll do the same thing with the other leg. I was listening to a podcast with Dr. Rangan Chatterjee and some other scientist or whatever doctor. I can't remember exactly what he was, but they were talking about how fit you need to be in your 40s to be able to comfortably in your 80s. And I've realized I need to do a lot more cardio. I'm not sure if I said this last week and I'm repeating myself. I tend to do that quite a lot. But I'm still terrified about it, actually. Good. And then swapping, getting rid of that ball, and we're going to do some roll downs. So rolling down towards the floor. And then slowly coming up. So we take it really for granted at how much our bodies deteriorate if we don't use them. What the doctor was saying is, if that's the case, spend a little bit of time with 80-year-olds so that you realize how your body changes, and then necessary changes. I'll try and find the link to the podcast from, because it's a really, really interesting and quite enlightening listen.
I would love to hear that if you could drop it into the group.
For sure. I've only listened to half of it because they tend to be quite long, but it is really, really interesting.
I'm painting my house at the moment, so I basically live off podcasts.
Ah, perfect. Oh, lovely. So we're gonna release the glutes. So you keep your left foot fixed onto the floor, bring your foot to a T shape. So that right foot is coming in front. We're gonna bend from the hips. So we're sticking your tailbone out, palms up to the left. And then come back to the center. So basically we're freeing everything down that fixed leg, the two bones at the ankle, the tibia and the fibula, and all of the muscles and the soft tissue in the hip area where the femur, the top of the big leg bone, meets the pelvis. Keep moving in and out of that. So if you've got a tight pelvic floor, even if it's weak, it can still be tight, by the way. This is a really good movement to do. And usually a telltale sign of glutes, deep glutes being tight, is if you walk with your feet sort of in this sort of position rather than parallel. Good, let's go the other way. fact, I'm going to use this one here. But as I said, a Pilates ball or a cushion, pillow, anything that you can put against the wall and then lean into it so that you've got some pressure, not a lot of pressure. It's more for feedback on the rib cage. So from here, when you breathe in, I want you to imagine that you're pushing whatever it is you're using, ball, blanket, whatever, and pushing your rib cage into that ball or pillow. So imagine that your rib cage is expanding sideways. So nice slow breaths. And we'll take one more breath here. As you exhale, make sure you're exhaling fully and just visualize that rib cage closing. As you breathe in, just imagine the space between each rib is expanding. Those muscles are getting a stretch. And then as you exhale, it's all closing down. Good. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to have to give you my back because I've got not enough really room on that back wall. So imagine that there is the muscles between your rib cage is expanding as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, visualize that rib cage closing down. Breathing in, imagine there's more space going between your shoulder blades as well. Exhaling slowly, closing everything down. Take one more breath in. And exhale slowly. Good. Okay, we're going to do a lat stretch. So that's these muscles here. So these muscles do tend to get quite tight because generally we keep our arms down. The way the lats get to stretch is when we take our arms upwards. We don't really spend much of our time with our arms up here. Another way to add more of a stretch is we're aiming to keep your elbows as close together as possible, but you need to do it against the wall because otherwise what you're going to do is you're going to pop your rib cage forwards, and I don't want that. So first you're going to keep your rib cage part of your spine in the wall. So I've kind of pushed my rib cage down into my tummy a little bit. And then I'm going to bring my elbows in front of me. And we're aiming to raise your arms as much as possible, keeping your elbows close together. Don't hold the hands though, keep them suspended because otherwise it changes it a little bit. It's a little bit different. So I really want those lats working. Just move up and down again. So that's, we're getting that nice slide and glide of the tissues and the muscles and lubricating that fascia. Coming up. Exhale as you take the arms up because that exhale is going to help keep the rib cage down. Inhale as the arms come down. Exhale as the arms go up. Inhale as the arms come down. And last time, exhaling up. Inhaling down. Just allow your arms to just give a little wobble. And then we're going to give the upper body a bit of a break and we're going to stretch the front of the thighs. Feel free to hold them to the wall, knees together. Push the pubic bone forwards. This is going to help to release any tightness at the front of the hips. And then we'll swap over So nice and gently, as you go into it, inhale as you swap over. Nice and gently ease into that as you exhale. Think of your lower belly going in towards the spine without any force. It's just naturally getting flatter as we breathe out, because the lungs are deflating, so there's more space for the organs to move up. The pelvic floor is lifting with that breath. And breathing out. We'll do one more. We're going to bring your left knee towards your armpit. So we're opening it up to the side. If you can reach your foot, go ahead and reach your foot. Now, if that's too much of a stretch, remember, always regress it so that you feel comfortable. Because if you feel pain or discomfort, you might start to breathe shallowly, which is going to further tighten that muscle. So it's important that you are able to breathe slowly and keep the brain calm, and that's going to further allow you to ease into it. If you're feeling tight and need to loosen it first, let yourself relax into it. Maybe after a couple of breaths, you can then ease into that deeper stretch. So this is going to really help release all of those muscles. Remember, fascially, all of this is connected to the pelvic floor. So what's good for the legs, good for the glutes, is going to be very good for the pelvic floor. Swapping legs, same thing on the other side. So I'm a lot looser on this side. My left hip is really playing up at the moment. I booked an appointment with the women's health physio so she can have a look at what's going on, because I've not been able to figure it out. Sometimes you need someone to look at you from a objective point of view. Because I've been moaning about it all summer and it's not getting any better. Good. And then relax out of that. So next we're going to release underneath the rib cage. So you're going to take your fingers together as if they're pointing like a knife. And we're just going to very, very slowly push underneath the rib cage. So imagine you've got corn flour and water. If you go in too quickly, that corn flour gets hard. If you go slow into that, the corn flour yields to your fingers. So that's what we're doing with the fascia here. We're going to go slowly into it. We're breathing. We're releasing. And although we're not touching the diaphragm, fascially we will be making a difference. And it just kickstarts that release through the abdominal area. So just because we're working underneath the rib cage doesn't mean that's the only place it's going to have an effect. It will have an effect elsewhere. You've probably noticed now your fingers have sunk in a little bit deeper. So we're going to move further down, halfway between your hips and your rib cage, roughly about in line with your belly button. And again, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to go down in towards the tummy. Just breathing slowly, releasing those internal, external obliques. But again, obviously there are 4 layers of muscle. There's the fascia for your six-pack muscle, the fascia for your TVA, your transversus abdominis, which all connects to your lower back. So we're softening this area, but it will have an effect on your back as well. Good. And then we're going to come down in towards the pubic area, just above it. And we're just going to gently push down towards the pubic bone, nice and gently. But what I'd like you to imagine is we're not trying to go behind the pubic bone, we're trying to skim the skin over the surface. So I'm just going to show on my hand, I'm literally just gently sliding my skin down towards the pubic bone. I'm not putting a lot of pressure. It's almost like I'm just trying to warm up the tissues. If you have a C-section scar, you're probably about in that area. If it feels uncomfortable or if it's a new scar, don't work directly on the scar. Just work above or below it. If there's any pain, don't work on it. Work further up or further down. Good. Take one more breath. Lovely. And then release. Roll over onto your side. Push yourself up. And you're all done. We've gone over a little bit, haven't we? Right. I hope you enjoyed that. Okay. How was it?
Thank you.
Good, good. Right. And you're there now, Tansy. I can see you.
Yes, it had the same thing happened. It kicked me out and I came back in and it was fine. I'm not going to join you for meditation tonight. You record it, didn't you?
That's okay, no problem.
You normally.
I need to
I'm
dash.
going to. That's okay. See you. Sorry for keeping you longer. Bye-bye.
Have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You normally record it, is that right? And then